But today I don't want to talk to you about surviving your cancer as a disease. I want to talk to you about surviving your cancer as what cancer, the definition, in my life means. Cancer came into my life to distract me. Cancer came into my life to destroy me. And cancer came into my life to stop me from my dreams. What in your life can you equate to that? What in your life defines that? Can you define something in your life?
I want you to see him today. Please welcome David Octavio.
David Octavio Gandell.
David Gandell.
David Octavio Gandell.
David Octavio Gandell.
David Octavio Gandell.
David Octavio Gandell.
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a phenomenal day. First of all, I just want to thank Royal Caribbean for giving me this amazing opportunity. I don't take anything for granted. One of those things that I've been praying about was talking about this type of subject. And it only comes up in certain situations, correct? So this was kind of interesting how this whole collaboration came together. I want to thank Ron, I want to thank Elsa and the Royal Caribbean family for giving me this opportunity. It's a privilege to be in front of you today, and I hope that the message resonates with you today. I called this presentation Redefining Ability Beyond Labels. Think about that title, Redefining Ability Beyond Labels, from limits to limitless. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about me, because you're like, who is this guy? Why is he here? So as you can see on the left picture, that was at my worst. That was after one round of chemotherapy. I was given 3 days to live. And 3 weeks later, after the first round, I woke up at 124 pounds. I had terminal cancer, covered all my organs. I'm not going to tell you the whole story today. You can pretty much Google that. But I want to tell you a little bit about why me. The picture on the right is going to be the surgery. That was February 1st, 2007. That was literally 6 months after my first chemo. And the why me question was a big one. And the reason I want to say that is because I know most of us, maybe not you, but most of us ask ourselves the same question. Why me? Why did this happen to me? What was the reason for this? And that why me question literally was in the back of my mind, in the front of my mind, and everywhere. I got diagnosed with cancer in 2004, and I asked the question, why me? In 2006, it was my second battle. And that question had been answered, because for those 2 years, I realized that there was a bigger purpose for my life. I actually found some type of meaning through all this. Like, in other words, what was the meaning of it? Well, in the picture in the middle, it's me and Steve Harvey. I put that picture because everybody recognizes him, and certainly he's somebody very well known. And one of the reasons he had me on the show was because I was going to talk about my faith and how I came to survive such an obstacle. So what's interesting about it is that I was always someone that was empathetic to anyone that was showing, I want you to hear that word, showing some type of disability. But I didn't know the meaning of it. And I'm being completely honest and completely crystal clear on this. We first have to define things in our life. So I wanted to define disability, and you all know probably this word, physical or mental condition. Physical or mental condition. And as we go along through the presentation, I'm going to show you a few different things about the mental condition that limits a person, movements, senses, and activities. Take every single word in this definition. Movements is the physical. Senses could be the mental as well. And activities can be both. You probably know all of these already, but I wanted to kind of talk about them because there's a few of them that I'm going to center on. Types of disabilities, we got the physical, we got the sensory, intellectual, developmental, cognitive, mental health disabilities, invisible disabilities, non-apparent, and then we have multiple disabilities. So let's go to number 5. I don't know if mental should be number 5, to be honest with you. Because in my mind, mental was what got me in or out of bed, was what got me up to actually do something about it, was what could hold me back down and take me into a depression, a deep depression. So for me, when I look at that list, I feel like we could have like a top 7 and see which one is the order. But see, they all need to be recognized, all of them. But today, when it comes to my disability, when I couldn't get out of bed, when I needed people to take care of me, that's when I knew, that's when I acknowledged that I did have a disability at that moment and for the rest of my life. Why? Because I have other symptoms after cancer, but the mental part is what people don't know. It's the invisible disability. It's the unheard. It's the one that every day I wake up, I thank God for it. It's one more day I get to live. But there's days that I don't want to get up. And that mental part is, I have a pain in my back. I have a migraine. Something is happening that I feel, wait, is this going to be my 3rd battle? Just think about that for a second. So every day of my life, I live like it's my last. But every day of my life, I also have that mental doubt, fear, and thought process that could do 2 things. It can disable me completely, or it can push me. Life is a challenge, ladies and gentlemen. It is. It really, really is. And I've learned that life is like school. We're going to continue to graduate through our problems and through every challenge that we have in life. And it's going to continue every single time. You just think of a stairway. We're going to keep going up the stairs, one by one step at a time. The hardest challenge to overcome, what is it? Is it the mental and emotional? Or is it something else in your life? So to me, my hardest obstacle, my hardest challenge to overcome was mental and emotional. Why? Because most of my life I was on stage. Most of my life I was modeling, hosting shows, fitness shows, pageants, and all kinds of presentations. I went from school to school to talk about health and wellness. I was the healthiest 29-year-old you'll ever meet. And then I get cancer. Think about that. Healthy, physically healthy, internally healthy. I never got sick. And I get the worst news you can ever get. So what happens at that moment is depression. I mean, we have to be honest. You can't tell me that you haven't been depressed. We all have it. In psychology, we talk about depression or jealousy or any other things emotional that we have as kind of a degree of it, percentage of it. So if depression is only 20%, you can handle it. If it's 49%, you can probably still handle it. You can be an active depressing. But if it gets over 50, 70, 80%, you can't get out of bed, or you might need some help. Medical help, professional help, right? So depression for me was something that I had to overcome daily. Abandonment. So I know some of you don't want to be visible. I get it. Some of you want to share with people what you go through, but you don't want the attention at times. So I go, if you can imagine, I didn't bring a picture of this. I was 180 pounds, shredded, muscular, with long hair. And then you saw the picture of cancer. And then I didn't think anybody wanted to love me. I didn't think anybody wanted to see me. I thought I looked like E.T. I thought I was going to scare everybody that saw me because I wasn't David Octavio Gandell, the model, the actor, the trainer, whatever, personality. That abandonment was real for me, but thank God I had family and thank God I had some friends. And sometimes in your life you don't have family and you don't have friends, but you might have somebody that reaches out. Maybe that's the angel in your life. Now, I put suicide there for a reason, because 50% of the people that I meet have told me at some point that they have faced suicide thoughts or they've actually tried to commit it. So from depression and abandonment and suicide, those are the three things that I was thinking about while I was putting this presentation together about what is the hardest challenge. I truly believe it starts with your mental and your emotional state. There's 7 stages of grief. You probably already know it. Shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger, depression, reflection, and loneliness. The upward turn, the reconstruction, working through it, and then accepting and hope. But let's go to number 4. Depression, reflection, and loneliness. Sounds familiar, right? Depression, abandonment. So I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to listen to this presentation in a way where you put yourself inside of it, where you look at what is that challenge that you're overcoming. You might have a lot of them, but there's one that hopefully today you might have some hope. So how should we face the challenge? First of all is acknowledging it. You have to acknowledge and you have to say, I have a disability. There are things that are out of my control. There are things that I cannot do by myself, that I might need a support system, or I might need to look at it differently. Then the next part is the adapting. You have to adapt. Acknowledge it and then adapt to it. Adapting means what? That you look for information. You look for knowledge to figure out how to handle this challenge. And lastly, aspire. Because hopefully if you learn how to deal with it to start and maybe overcome it in some way, you can aspire to do the things that you thought that you couldn't do in your life. How do we overcome the challenge? Well, hope, faith, and dreams. Hope is what you can give people. You, not me, you. Everyone that's listening to me, you have a story. And I'm going to talk about that at the end. But you do have a story. And your story is meant to give hope to other people. So you find hope in stories. The first thing I did when I got cancer was look for, the first book I found was Lance Armstrong. Why? 7-time, Tour de France winner, overcame the worst type of testicular cancer in the world. And he was an athlete. So I said, well, if he doesn't motivate me, who else will? There's resources. But guess what? Your life is a resource. And today I hope you realize that and recognize that and acknowledge that. You are a resource and you have to either do something about it or you don't. It's okay either way. It's your life. Faith. Well, faith are things that are hoped for, right? Faith is believing. At some point, the hope has to turn into belief. Because if not, you don't take the next step, do you? And dreams. I always say the dreams are the preview to your movie. I believe I'm in a movie right now. And this part is probably one of the Oscar-winning parts in this movie. Me speaking in front of you today. But your dreams are the preview. Your dreams are meant to take you somewhere else. Sometimes they might be a fantasy dream, but that's okay. Sometimes we just need a distraction, and that's okay too. But sometimes those dreams do come true if you push forward and if you figure out a way. But I believe it starts with hope, faith or belief, and then you get to live your dreams at some point. What broke you? Well, I love this slide because broken glass becomes art, broken crayons still color, broken mirrors still reflect. Do you understand that everything that we have created in the world, from houses to everything was broken at some point? So when someone comes to me and says, David, I'm so broken, I don't want to, I empathize with them, but at the same time I have to say, well, hold on. Now let's rebuild it. Because what's going to come after that brokenness is going to be something amazing. I was broken. You can see the pictures. If I don't have the pictures, you wouldn't even believe me today. But for the past 17 years that I've been cancer-free, I've been telling my story because I made a promise. I said, God, you heal me, I'll tell your story until the whole world hears. And today it's just another opportunity. But for someone like me, that was a fitness guru, that was modeling, that was on stages all over the world, internationally, speaking about health and wellness and getting cancer, I never smoked a cigarette in my life. I've never done a drug in my life. I barely drink. I barely got sick, but yet got terminal cancer. But today I am healed, and I am here in front of you to tell you that whatever you feel that is broken in your life, there is a purpose somewhere in there, and you have to start looking at your story a little bit different. How your story will become a miracle is up to you. It's going to be up to you. Not to me, not to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your wife, your girlfriend or boyfriend. It's not going to be up to anybody. At the end of the day, one thing that I've learned about my life is that you have a choice. You can choose to stay where you are, or you can choose to go over everything I talk about today and figure out how your story can be a resource to someone else. I always end every message with find hope, have faith, and live with purpose, and be a miracle in someone's life. Hope comes from your story. I hope that someday I get to meet you. Any of you, all of you, if I get a chance to. Maybe we'll go on a cruise together, because I've never been on a cruise from Royal Caribbean, so I'm looking forward to my first one. But at the same time, I hope I get to listen to your story. I hope one day I get to look at you and listen to how this message maybe gave you some hope for you to become hope to someone else. Have faith. You have to have a belief in something. We all have faith in something, I promise you that. But the belief in your life has to be very true. You got to believe in yourself at some point. Living with a purpose means through your story you'll find your purpose, I promise you that. It will be through your story. And to be a miracle, well, again, that's up to you. It'll be your choice. I want to say thank you again to Royal Caribbean and to everyone that made this possible today. For all of you that are actually logging in, and for all of you that are going to listen to it later, I just want to say that I believe that if I'm speaking to you today, there is a purpose about that too. And I believe that maybe, even if one of you gets this message and their life changes, that you're going to be blessing so many people because of your story. Believe your story is a miracle. Until next time when we meet, God bless you. My name is David Octavio Gandell. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. And until the whole world hears, I will continue to share my story.